We all going through, even though it's not the same trials we running through. Still gotta get through, so here go a helping hand. Regardless of where you stand, just a simple plan. Let's make it to the end.
I just kind of want to start this video off by saying thank you to a couple people. Dylan, TC, Tone, Bobby. Just thank you. Truly, just thank you. So the last video I talked about trying to find God and God's love again. And honestly, when I started recording that, I had no idea what I was going to say, what I was going to talk about. It just came out of me. And with this YouTube channel, I don't have any desire to be a content creator and learn how to make content and all of that. I'm just speaking. I'm speaking honestly and hoping that in that honesty that I'm speaking that some other people will maybe find some answers and I'll find some answers along the way. The truth of the matter is, finding God for me has turned more into finding God's love more than actually God. Because I noticed that what God's love is what God is, right? That shouldn't be a hard concept for us to get. But it seems to be. I don't want anybody to ever watch and listen to what I'm saying and interpret it as something different than what it is. Because what it is a man that's just been broken over and over and over again. Being honest. No filters, no hidden agenda, no desire to grift. None of that. I'm just honest, man. I'm being honest with myself. This has nothing to do with who's listening. Really. Like, look, you can see I'm sitting in an empty room in my house. There's a mattress behind me. Nobody sleeps in here. You know what I mean? This is just me talking and expressing and just getting it all out. And I started last time talking about my past because I wanted to build up so everybody could get an understanding that I haven't always been this way. And that if you've known me at some point in my life, you've known different versions of who I am. You knew who I was at that moment. And while that was true to who I am at that moment, that might not necessarily be who I am now. You might have known me on the street. You might have known me in the church. You might have known me when I was just a hardworking man, wanting to go home to his wife. You might have known me as a bad guy. You might have known me as a good guy. You might have known me as the security guard that was a little too rough. after my bout of homelessness, when I was working at the Home Depot, I worked with a friend of mine named Oliver. He's the guy you see at the beginning of the video. We do the peace signs at the same time. That's Oliver. And Oliver's homosexual. And I love him and his fiance a lot. And people would say that you can't find God's love or Jesus doesn't approve of homosexuality, all of that. Truth of the matter is, partner, we all sinning. But in those moments, I had just lived what I thought was the hardest situation of my life of being homeless and working every day with somebody like Oliver. He was just a calming effect for what I needed because I was angry. And that was a Home Depot on 75th Avenue in McDowell. And anybody that lives in Phoenix just kind of knows if you're doing security anywhere over there, you got your work cut out for you. And Oliver got another job, and I didn't. I was at Home Depot by myself now. Like I ain't got my road dog with me, and now I'm fighting with these guys that'll do anything to get fentanyl. They'll go in there and they'll steal. They'll knock old women over. They'll trample kids. They don't care about nothing. They don't care about me. I got scars on my body still to this day from all of the rumbles that I got over there. And then you're dealing with the dealers too, because my motto was, if I know you, and this is like my second or third time dealing with you, I'm just gonna knock you out. And I started doing that, and now I'm getting into it with the dealers because if you stop the guys from getting the money to give to the dealer, you're slowing down the dealer's money too. I'm going somewhere with this. When you slow down the dealer's money, you're a problem to them now. They treat you like an enemy. Drug dealers beef with each other not because they both drug dealers, because one is stopping the other one's money. So not to be specific, because these things are still going on. And I'm sure some of these people are still around and out on the street, but I got into it with one of the guys, and some things were said, some actions were taken. And I remember, talking to Oliver. Then I was like, bro, it's not the same without you. He was like, I never got you that job. I don't even know if he remembers saying it. He's like, I never got you that job because I thought you had a career there. I just got you that job till you got back on your feet. You can do whatever you want. You're one of the smartest people I know. And I was like, And how I would spend my days is I would work at Home Depot, and when I clocked out, if I worked the morning shift, I would go over to neighborhood furniture and help out Jay. See if he had some deliveries or if I could put together a love seat or something, to make a couple extra dollars. And those guys that hung out over there became my friends. And, I remember I had a broken hand from a fight that I got into. And the situation happened with those drug dealers, and these guys were like, "Why don't we just get him to work for us?" This is a few years ago, maybe 5 years ago. I'm not sure. I struggle with exact years. But one of the guys was like, no, it was Jay. Jay was like, would you work for less money? I'm like, I don't care about the money. Can I not get shot at work? That would be great. So I went from making $21 an hour to 16. But let me tell you something. That $200 less a week to get my mind right and have peace while I'm at work was priceless. And what I'm saying is, those selfless acts, Oliver looking out for me to give me that job knowing that I was homeless, Jay looking out for me to hire me directly to save my life and my sanity. Is that God's love? I would argue yes. I don't want this. I don't want to come across like I know everything because I know nothing. I can only speak about what I've felt, what I've done, what I've seen. And what I've been through. And I went through so much hell and so much turmoil and such uncertainty. And I fought and I fought and I fought and I messed up and I got knocked down and I got back up and I dealt with the anger and the violence and the loneliness. And I built my life up to be something respectable, not just admirable. You understand what I'm saying? It's like I can't say that I've ever had difficulty with people liking me because I've always been kind of humorous, kind of funny, a little show off, whatever you want to say, the life of the party, all that kind of shit. But now I built my life up to where I'm a job creator at multiple businesses. I'm not rich yet, but it's a respectable thing that I've done for myself. And now that I don't necessarily have the same worries that I used to, I don't have to look over my shoulder when I step outside of my house anymore. If I run to the store, to the gas station, or something like that, I'm in no danger at all. When my kids need something, they ask, and if I ain't got it right then and there, I know by Friday I'll have it. So like all of those things that I used to constantly worry about, I worked my way out of it. And then when I got here, I'm kind of like, I think this is how people feel when they say that money can't buy you happiness. Because I ain't even got that level of money that people talk about like that, but I don't have to worry about money at all. And it's not that I'm unhappy, it's that I've got to a point where I've realized that what was making me happy all these years was coping mechanism. I wasn't actually happy. I was coping with the pain. I was coping with the insecurity. I was coping with the lack, the inability to provide for myself, the inability to give my kids what they needed, the inability to help their mother in a way that I felt was necessary, in a way that she felt was necessary. Just the inability. And now I'm doing better, and I was like, none of that was making me happy. So what actually makes you happy? What makes you happy? Think back of a time where you were actually happy, boy. What makes you happy? What makes you tick? What turned you away? What drove you to these dark places? What was it actually? Not the situation. What was the thing? And I'm starting to wrap my head around the fact that it might be the thing that drove me away was being let down by people and blaming that on a religion and on God. And I'm speaking to you from a man who still doesn't know for certain what God is, where God is, if God is. But I know that that's what happened. When you put your faith in people, there's no perfect man, there's no perfect woman. And by nature, something is going to happen to where they let you down. I guarantee you, if you put your faith in me, I'm going to let you down in some kind of way. I just promise. I'm not supposed to be vaping, but I'm trying. It's because we're imperfect, man. And expecting all of us to be perfect all of the time is unrealistic. The pastor is not going to be perfect. The priest is not going to be perfect. I think it's Romans 3:23, for all have sinned and fall short of God's glory. It's we all guilty of something, man. So is it that me putting my faith in these people, you're a Christian, you're supposed to do this, yeah. Or you're in this role, you're supposed to treat me this way. You're my friend, you are supposed to be this for me. You're my woman, you're supposed to be this for me. You're supposed to ride with me. You're supposed to ride with me. I'm supposed to come before any other man if I'm your woman. I mean, if you're my woman. If I'm your man, you're my woman, I come first. Just like you come before any other woman. So the fact that with that woman I didn't come first, is it all women's fault? It doesn't make sense when we think of it on that level, right? So why would we do that to God? That man broke your heart. That man cheated on you. That man used to come home drunk and he'd maybe not hit you, he'd bust holes in the wall. He'd come home drunk. The kids would see him passed out on the couch with an empty bottle next to him. That man did that. And that hurt you. But it seems silly if you write off every man based on the actions of that man. So why, when it comes to the church, did I write off God based on the actions of men? And look, part of the reason that I'm having these conversations in an empty room in my home and putting them on YouTube is because a lot of people that I wanted to have these conversations with in person, over the phone, what have you, don't have time. And I'm not mad at them for that because I realize if I get mad at them, or if I get mad at God because of their actions again, I've done the same thing I did last time. I would rather this time me come to a conclusion, a healthy one, that God is some manifestation of man's desire to deal with our mortality. I would be happy with that as opposed to let down by people who claim to follow God and to know God and blame God for it again. Every video on this channel ain't gonna be about this, by the way, but they'll all be honest. So let's move on to something. I really think that the moment I kind of understood a lot of what I learned and applied it to my own life was when I held each one of my children the day they were born. My oldest biological daughter, she I embarrass her when I tell her story, but I grew up in New Orleans, always overcast, always cloudy. She was born here in Phoenix, Arizona, in Maryville. And she was born like 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. But I remember looking out the window of the delivery room on the day she was induced, and we waiting for her to come. That whole routine. And nobody told me about this, but the doctor and the nurses coming in and checking the centimeters. Wow, they coming in and out all night. And I remember looking out of the window, and I see like this little gleam of light over a mountain in the distance. And I was like, oh, I'm about to see the sunrise. My ex-wife, she's going through it. She ain't worried about she about to have a baby. She not worried about my little moment over there. But remember the nurse was like, yeah, it's about that time. And I'm just glued to the window and I'm just looking like, oh, the sun's about to rise. And she was like, where are you from? I said, New Orleans. I've never seen the sunrise before. You've never seen the sunrise before? I was like, I've never seen the sunrise. I've seen it go from dark to light, but that's dark clouds to sun behind the clouds. It's just kind of, you just wake up and go. But I'm watching the sunrise over this mountain, and I swear the moment that it came full, like the full circle came over the mountain, the doctor said it's time to push. And then I held my baby girl in one hand. And she was so fragile. So fragile, so tiny. And the full weight of it hit me right then and there. I was 21 years old. You ain't no little boy no more. You didn't made a man's decision now, partner. Because this little thing that you hold in your hand, it could die if you drop it. You are responsible for keeping this alive. You have to do everything in your power to protect. And I just had this entire vision of what I was supposed to do. And that's kind of how I felt when people talk about like how God loves you. It's because you can't tell me anything about my kids that's gonna make me not love them and make me not try to go push that mountain that I saw the sunrise for the first time out of the way so that they can be safe. There's nothing any of them can tell me. There's nothing any of them can do to me to make me not love them. And my kids are dope. I don't know where they got it from, but my kids are dope. And now my daughter has a daughter. And she's experiencing those same things that I experienced. You got to do what you got to do. It's nothing that kid can do to make you not love them. So I want to pose a question. Is God actually just love? Like, is that what God is? Just genuine love? Because I love them kids. I love them from the moment they got here. I cut all of the umbilical cords. I changed the first diapers. I gave the first bottles. Those are really the only relationships where I can honestly say that I love them with nothing held back. So that's my greatest understanding of love. So is that God there? The one thing that I hope, because I'm still in the security industry and I still work a few miles from where I had serious death threats all my life. The one thing that I hope is if I've been wrong this whole time and that the Christian God is God indeed, that he'll see that shall I pass away, be taken from here, that he sees that I was looking and I get credit for that. I don't know how I'm gonna find these answers. I truly don't. But I can share with you the steps that I'm gonna take. I'm eliminating hatred from my heart. Because over the years, there are a few people that have hurt me to a point to where I wake up some days and all I can think about is standing on the side of their face or kicking in their ribs or just playing some kind of psychological game to make them hurt like I hurt. I want to make them, I want to hurt them like they hurt me. I want to make them feel what I feel, that vengeance. And I'm deciding today to let that go. I still don't like you, but I don't hate you. I don't wish bad on you. I don't wish good on you. I'm wishing peace in my own heart. If you want to call that forgiveness, fine. All is forgiven. But I know in order to get this love that I'm looking for to live inside of me and to resonate inside of me, I have to eliminate the hate. Love and hate can't coexist. I have to get rid of that hate. I have to. It can't coexist in the same heart. I've held that shit for long. And I held that shit for a long time, man. It can't coexist. So you can have the hate. I want the love. Maybe I'll find God. Maybe I'll find God's love. Just know that if you've been friends with me for a long time or you just been paying attention to who I am, you know that I've always been honest. And I've always shared with this unbridled, just no filter. Just know I'm okay. I have a reason to live. I have several reasons to live. And I don't have a desire to leave before it's my time. I'm very content. What I'm trying to do now is solidify my happiness. Because I realize what I can do on my own. And now I'm wondering if God is indeed real and I find him, what can I do with God? If I did this all on my own, what could I do with God?